Well, we've had better Saturday afternoons. It's finished here at St James's Park, Newcastle United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1, and this is a very deflating last word. Yes, good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this from St James's Park. A 1-0 defeat after an international break is not what we really wanted at all, let's be honest. We've got Joe, we've got Lee, and we've got Michael for an interesting last word. Joe, when you look at the team, Isak back in, that was a big positive. Gordon from the left, Jacob Murphy on the right. The midfield was the same midfield three. And the defence is kind of what you expected because of Kieran Trippier's injury. What did you make of it?
Looking at the lineup, it's one of those lineups where you're really happy, and you're starting to see a very strong 11 from Newcastle. Isak being back, it's fantastic. You're expecting the team to go out there and really be on high morale and push for it. I do know that it's after seeing that lineup. I mean, I was really impressed to seeing Hall start, seeing Tonali start, seeing Isak start. It's three players who you want to see getting regular starts. It's difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Lewis Miley on the bench. No Callum Wilson. Once again, could he have been the difference today? Another question in the comments. Lee, when you look at Brighton, no Minter. You have your own theory on that, but Ferguson, who scored a hat-trick against Newcastle last year, started. Welbeck, always been a bit of a difficult forward to play against, and that proved once so again. When you look at that Brighton team, did anything scare you?
No, because he had Matoma, and I really rate him. He's on the bench as well. Yeah. So, from what we know, that Minter, there was nothing wrong with him. There's no injury, nothing. It has to be something to do with his transfer. What the reason would you not have a winger who started off really well in your first 20? Unless
there was an injury overnight or a sickness, that's kind of the only thing you'd say that.
We'll see, but just touching on that lineup as well, he did try something different because Anthony Gordon wasn't on the left wing, he was in this left forward position because he had Joe Linton on the left as well, so that's something that he's tried to do and obviously hasn't worked.
It's interesting, Michael, because when it started, I understand where Lee's coming from. It's almost a case when we're defending, Gordon needs to become a 2. When we're attacking, Gordon is a 3. Does that actually benefit Newcastle? Because we've seen it at Bournemouth, it didn't really work. We've seen it in other games. Has it really got the best out of Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak when you kind of restricted him a little bit?
Tactically, no. Like, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring Isak into the game because he's been so isolated for the however many games, start the season, in the Cup as well. And like, you look at even today with that kind of trying to bring him into a 2, there's nothing. It's kind of deflated. It's still going out wide and it just sits there and it's kind of like being passed across the front 3. But with Isak isolated, so lack of ideas, tactically a bit inept, changing it, I don't know, but like, what do we do? It's still so isolated.
Yeah, 21 shots for Newcastle. I'm sure we'll touch about a few of those shots this afternoon. Joe, Newcastle started pretty well, actually, let's be honest. Brighton were kind of going, ooh, can we get through the first 20 minutes? Can we get through it? And they did get through it eventually, but there's a few debatable decisions from the referee, some very soft decisions, but in terms of the first real opportunity, Alexander Isak has a shot which hits Jacob Murphy. Is it going in? Who knows? But he then has that one-on-one. Great ball from Bruno, right into the heart. I'm thinking take it round him. Take it around the goalkeeper and put it in the back of the net, but he takes a shot and he misses. Massive opportunity.
I was sat right next to James, who took calls on that seat, and that was one for me when he was one-on-one with the keeper. I said straight away after that, it's like Isak's missing something that he had last season. He would have that wherewithal about him and go, right, I've got the confidence to take this from the keeper, pop it in, and he just wasn't doing that, and I feel that's something that's becoming a reoccurring theme with Isak. He's missing that certain flair that he had in last season where he was able to glue the ball to his feet and just keep running. The referee, it's one of those that at the minute I think the officiating in the Premier League is so inconsistent that you shouldn't be walking away from a Premier League game with one of the main talking points being the referee, but that referee and that officiating in that game was absolutely disgusting, especially in the first half more than any of them. There was our first yellow card, and literally a few minutes later, Brighton make the tackle. It's the exact same sort of challenge, and there's no yellow card for them, and it's one of those where, and it was Veltman took it, and he made multiple fouls before that, and it's just not getting followed through by the referee, and it's spoiling the game, it's slowing the game down, it's ending up in positions where players are getting frustrated. You saw Murphy lose that smile very quickly to the back end of the first half, which I think is solid to do. I would like to see a bit more from Isak going forward, in the sense of Not asking for a world beater, but just asking for a few more of them chances being put away because it's really missing. Obviously, the Murphy one, would that have went in? I reckon so. That goes in, we've got a different game. Where I was sat, that bounced off Murphy and it was heading in. It was on target. The keeper was beat, and Murphy's just got in the way the last second.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything you can... A lot of people are going to kick off with Jacob Murphy and be like, he shouldn't have been there, but it's a mistake that's happened, and it would have been a different game if that goes in.
Lee, are you worried about Isak? Because
He should be scoring.
one goal in a few Premier League games.
That's bread and butter for him. It's simple as that. I don't like Anthony Gordon up top. Since Anthony Gordon's played up top and scored one open play goal, does that not show you something that's wrong? And he doesn't play Osula. And again, yes, I know he brought him on the 89th minute, but you've got a striker sitting on the bench. Why is he sitting on the bench? Then bring him on. With 20 minutes to go, he might not be a 15 goal or a 20, but he's a striker. He has better natural instincts than what Anthony Gordon does. When a ball falls 6-yard area, penalty box, because he's a striker. He's been doing it since a kid. Gordon's not, he's a creator. He wants to take on a player. We're suffering with Anthony Gordon up top. And I know he wasn't an out-and-out striker today. He was on this left-sided forward role, but it's not working. And I know he tried something new today, but it's not working.
Plenty of thoughts for Mr. Edward Howe. Brighton did take the lead, Michael, and it was a case of Brighton win a free kick, and it was just a case of complete and utter lack of focus, not switching on. One long ball. Have I said to you, Michael, before this game, tell me a Brighton type goal. Or they'll play it round you, they'll pass it round you, they'll put it in the back of the net nice and easy. If I said Lewis Dunk's going to play a long ball, Welbeck chests it down, does a 1-2 with Ferguson and then puts it in the back of the net, you wouldn't have said that about Brighton. It's really poor. It's a soft goal.
I could have put 10 quid on it being Danny Welbeck to score for them, though. Like, it was honestly like a hot knife through butter. And it was classic, kind of characteristic of their play through, both halves, that they just breezed through through our midfield. But that play going through with Welbeck, it just looked like they weren't switched on. Like, they didn't switch on, that ball bouncing and dropping down, and then...
It was a fault.
I mean, Boone was sleepwalking there, watching it, ball watching again. Whether it wasn't reacting to kind of the free kick or whatever, I don't know. But it's a good finish. Pope should come out quicker, in my opinion. But collectively, I think if that's in a nutshell exactly how we're playing at the moment, which is a lack of desire, a lack of energy, and just a lack of awareness of quick free kicks, things going on. It's just slow, so slow.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I think that was the worst thing that could have happened for Newcastle. I know it's quite easy to say going 1-0 down, but against a Brighton team that can keep the ball so well. I thought I have to give credit to Brighton's number 20, Baleba. He was absolutely outstanding. He was that number 6. He was just making everything tick, and he was making it so difficult.
I thought Brighton was shite first half.
I'm not saying they were brilliant.
I thought they were shit.
I'm not saying they were brilliant.
Crap. They just snatch and grab.
I'm not saying they were brilliant. I'm not saying they were brilliant, but what they did was, as soon as it was 1-0, they took the sting out of it. They took the sting out of it, made it boring.
Performance, isn't it?
Made it boring, made it miserable.
If you're looking for somebody to come and doing a job on you away from home, do what Fabian Hurstler has done there for Brighton. Right, set up, squash the lines. When we were attacking, there was no space between our midfield and forward line. It was like they were all in the same kind of part area of the pitch, really. Kind of going forward.
Is that an issue with the manager though?
Yes, it's his tactics. Yes,
there's a little bit of tactics from Howe, 100%, and you've got to give him, you've got to align that to Howe, definitely. But I also think you're right. You've got to credit Hurstler for setting them up in that way. I'm not trying to say it's 50-50, but you've got to start looking back at Howe and going, if it's at 60, 70, 80 minutes and the same things are happening, change it up. Yeah. And that's tactically, not just bringing on Longstaff for Bruno and whatever. It's like, try to bring Isak into the game, or if you're putting Osula on, bring somebody else in the game. Try and put more people, further up the pitch. Don't keep trying the same things.
Joe, before the end of the half, Anthony Gordon had a really good opportunity where it was well saved by Verbruggen on the turn. Good shot, really good save, and that's kind of what it was until half time. It 1-0 down. Newcastle came out a lot earlier than Brighton did. It was about a good 2 or 3 minutes, and it was kind of case, right, this is where you're going wrong. Let's rectify, let's get back on the pitch. It was almost like a case that they didn't want the half time to come. But nothing really kind of happened for Newcastle in that first 15 minutes of sort, really. It was kind of the same old as what we saw at the end of the first half, in my opinion.
It was the first 15 minutes just seemed more of the same, and Brighton seemed to come out with a lot more confidence, a lot more morale. They seemed a better set up team in the start of the second half, I will say that. As the second half drew on, we were pushing so many more chances. And again, when you say about that save with Anthony Gordon at the back end of the first half, that was an unbelievable save, and it's another one where if that goes in, again, you've got a different game on your hands when we come back out. I think the whole process that we're coming out, I really expected, when I came back to my seat, I was expecting a change. I'm not quite sure who, but I think we needed something fresher on the pitch. I keep falling back to Isak. I keep looking at him and thinking, why are you not bringing Osula on earlier? Because one thing I noticed when Osula came on was he was chasing every ball. He was hunting every ball down. He was fighting for every single one. It was towards the back end of the first half. There was a moment where we swung a corner in, and Isak doesn't even jump much to win the ball. He doesn't go for the header that much, and it ends up going to a Brighton defender who knocks it away, and they get back on the push. Where's the fight? We need more fight in that final third. We need more aggravation, more pushing for everything. I know it's hard when, again, we bring up the officiating, hate to do it. When we're getting penalised for nearly every little thing we do, it's of course hard. The lads are going to want to back off a bit. Yeah. But when we came out in that second half, I really felt like we needed something different, especially after 15 minutes. And I think after 15 minutes, it's a point where Eddie Howe goes, right, now we need to take someone off. Now we need to put Harvey Barnes on. Now we need to be bringing someone who's not playing as well on. And it just wasn't happening. I would like to start seeing substitutions being made that little bit earlier. I'm not a big fan of half-time substitutions. You guys let us know in the comment if you are. Personally though, me, in that game right there, you bring Harvey Barnes on in that second half and you split it how we used to. Harvey Barnes on one wing and Anthony Gordon on the other wing. Isak's getting balls fed to him left, right and centre, and he's scoring something.
Jacob Murphy for me shouldn't have played as long as he did today. I thought he was so poor today, and it was funny because the one time he kind of got a little bit of joy, he was the wrong position. Bruno plays the ball and Bruno's saying, go, turn your body, and eventually when he did turn his body and run, the defender kind of got back in position and nicked the ball off him. I'll mention this more in the second half of the last word, but not bringing in a right winger for competition more than anything is an incompetence of the board. That should have been number one.
Eddie Howe?
Why would Eddie Howe not want a ringer?
Paul Mitchell
he wants a Langer.
Paul Mitchell come out and said it was Mark Gahey on near one.
So is Mark Gahey a right winger?
No, but that's what Paul Mitchell said, and then the press conference came a few days later, and Eddie Howe
you cannot tell me they've got a performance analysis, they've got head of recruitment on X, Y, and Z. Eddie Howe himself is prepared to get rid of me.
I absolutely love Eddie Howe, and I was buzzing that England didn't interview him. I love Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe got it wrong today. I do agree, you got it wrong about the right winger, because we shouldn't put all eggs in one basket for Mark Gahey. I mean, look at his form right now. He's all over the place, and his value will drop because he's only got 18 months left when January comes.
It will depreciate, but the thing is, it's not my point. My point is that we all knew, and I'm not just saying fans, because fans, we know a lot, but they've got all the data, they've got all the information. We needed a right winger. We desperately needed a right winger. Not bringing a right winger this summer.
The panic was for Langer, didn't we?
Exactly. Well, if Langer was your number one choice, why did it not go in the 1st of July or midway through July? Why was it a panic? It's stupid.
That's one thing for me that I will say as well with the whole right winger. I've said this for a while, I've said this multiple times to you, Lee, but when it comes to the men's team, the massive issue is when you start looking at the substitutions, there's a huge drop-off in the quality of our depth. Yes, we've got depth now, but there's a massive drop-off. When you're starting to bring on players like Miguel Almiron, love what he's done for the club in the past, but he's just not it anymore. You're bringing on players like Almiron for the likes of Gordon, Sean Longstaff, again, I love what Longstaff's done for the club. I love having homegrown players, but you compare him to a starting 11, we have not.
You used to want him on. You wanted Sula on 20 minutes beforehand, and Nielsen at the depth, at the level's that big of a drop though.
Who do you want up top if you're going for win the game today? You want your striker, didn't you?
Yeah, but I'm sure that's like Alexander Isak.
Yeah, but I get Joe's point that the quality isn't.
It's a massive
drop-off.
So why bring him on?
Because he's got the natural instincts. You would think as a striker, you would, wouldn't you?
No,
cross comes in. Right, Howard, I'm going to get in the end of it. Gordon doesn't think like that.
No, I think
then Gordon should be scoring that chance.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the point. I think that's the point that Lee's trying to get at is if you've got if Howe's plan B is putting Gordon up top, he should be putting that chance away
6 yards out with the header.
10 out of 10.
Again, like Isaac.
And that's where Asula being a natural centre forward, or at least that's what we've brought him in for, he should be being brought on to do exactly that. And I just don't. There's something. I can't put my finger on what it is. I don't think it is one thing. I think there are multiple things that are wrong at the moment. Whether it be the recruitment this summer, personnel that have been brought in, and the connectivity, the communication between them, the lack of kind of you bring. Why do you sign players? To improve the squad you've got, And it isn't just the starting 11, as you've said. It's the bench as well. It's the competition aspect. Dan Burn, I love him. He's been brilliant. He's been a revelation for this club. But 2.5 years later, he should be not starting centre-back for Newcastle United. I know Botman is injured, right? But he shouldn't be.
Should Jacob Murphy be still starting for Newcastle since he's been here since 2017 and 3 loans? But that's another situation. But Anthony Gordon had a massive opportunity, Lee, one-on-one.
Just said he's
got to put it in the back of the net, hasn't he? So why is he?
If we're putting all the blame on Isak, you've got to put it looking Anthony Gordon's through.
Is he panicked?
I don't know. It's not natural finish. He's like trying to poke it, isn't he? And it's like just calmness, and that's what I'm getting at with Usula. Usula might not be that quality, but natural instincts would want to fall into your striker, surely. But I agree with Mike. I think there's several things. You look at the stats. 1 open play goal. Gordon's played up top in all of them. And I'm not just pointing it on Gordon. I think it's the way we play. And I don't think Eddie Howe will change. He likes that 3 up top, 1 central striker, 2 out wide. He did change a little bit today, which I do like. But is that something that we're going to work on in the future? Is it? I don't know. We've got a Chelsea side coming up.
Chelsea
header, and it's
a daunting game.
And look, we'll always concede goals. We always will. Every team does. But if you don't score, we don't win games.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least what happens next week against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Mitoma came on for Brighton and after a Livramento mistake, and Mitoma probably should have made it 2. It takes a slight nick and it goes wide for a corner. For Newcastle, could they get something? Could they get that moment? I think really from anything it was the free kick from right on the edge of the box, and again Alexander Isak gets blocked and goes out for a corner. You're thinking just a bit of quality last second of the game. Corner comes in from Sean Longstaff and it goes straight into the keeper's hands, and that was full time 1-0 to Brighton Hove Albion. A lot of questions, a lot of big questions. Has Eddie Howe got the answers? Eddie, tell us what you think.
Heartened by the performance, really, overall. I thought it was a good 65 minutes of really high level football. Last part of the game I wasn't so happy. But I thought there was a lot of good today. I thought there was a really good energy and speed about our play and our performance. I think really all that was missing was the goals and the icing on the cake for that work. Yeah, it was massively against the run of play. I think we've done everything but score. We've laid siege to their goal, really, and yeah, these things can happen. Like, we switched off for a split second, we've been punished. So yeah, disappointed with the goal we conceded, and it was such a pivotal moment. It gave them something to hold on to. It frustrated us, of course, but still I believe enough in the game for us to come back. And again, the chances were there in that second half, but nothing would fall our way in order for us to score.
Thanks for that, Eddie. Michael, we've talked about a lot of things in terms of it's biting us on the backside, not being prepared enough in the summer.
Yeah.
There was a lot of change in the summer with Amanda Stavely and Mairead Gudusi leaving the football club. We've got Paul Mitchell coming in. No signings of real note were made. We've talked about the right winger and that debate in itself, but is it a case now that maybe Eddie Howe has to look at maybe a formational change? Because we're talking about player changes and it's for the same formation, and it's not really working. It didn't really work against Everton, hasn't really worked today. Can you change this formation? Do you think Eddie Howe's just thinking, right, plan A will work, we've just got to make plan A better?
Didn't you try that the day though?
Yeah.
With Gordon on that left forward role, because he had Joe Linton on the left.
Yeah, so I think that was plan A, getting better, but I'm just saying, does it have to be a plan B now?
What's the first sign of insanity trying to do the same thing over and over again? Like, if you get into 60, 70 minutes and it's quite obvious that it's all huff and no puff and you're not doing anything, you've got to change.
Especially
you've got to
you know the tactics, what they're doing. They're happy to park.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's wrong with going long ball, old school, to top?
I thought we did go long ball for a lot of it. Yeah. Fabian Schär went long ball, Lewis Hall went long ball.
Actually, that's something to point out about the long ball. There was a moment in the second half where Lewis Hall, regardless of the result, Lewis Hall put an unbelievable ball into Alexander Isak, and why is Isak not finishing that chance as well? But that was point of what's coming. You know, Lewis Hall's a young player, it's going to come.
I'll tell you one thing that was really, really obvious today, and it's come up a couple of times whilst, you know, we've had Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno in the midfield 3. It was typified by, do you see when Lewis Dunk in the second half picked up the ball and basically ran through everyone, right? Yes. It's like we're not there in the midfield, and like, you know, whether it's that 3 as that 3, but it just doesn't seem to click and work, and we're like Swiss cheese, man. There's like holes everywhere.
Do you know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you know what I think? And he's certainly not ready to start, and I completely get that. But that was probably screaming for a Lewis Miley today. Do you know? And I know he's never going to start today because he's only come out of a massive injury, and I get that. It was almost crying out for someone like him today.
Yeah.
But
or even Joe Linton.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, and the one thing that Bruno's got to win is he hasn't won the captain's toss yet. It's St James
That
Park.
does my-
Not,
Your Twitter.
he's
Does
not
my
won
head in.
any. I don't know. It is a slight mind game. You know that it's all about psychology and all that. If you win that toss, you get to kick the Gallagher second half because the crowd are rolling on. At the Leeds, it's not as.
I think that's the smallest. I think that's the smallest of our problems at the minute.
But there's a few. If there's one or two people around me saying that they just mistrip as influence today.
Yeah.
I think we've got to go back to basics though. So like like the tactical thing, we've got to have a plan B, C, throwing a Sula on, how that fits into a forward line or whatever, and then maybe, not playing a 3 in the centre of the park and playing a 2 or something like that. But what worked so well 2 seasons ago was this high press, high intensity, significant amount of effort. And the first thing we noticed there was just lack of desire, lack of effort. There was a bit in the second half again where Willock was just sauntering towards the ball. That just in a little nutshell.
I also
little
think
bits.
if you had Callum Wilson fitted today,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But whenever you think of him, if he's fit, he scores.
Do you know what? I wish the club would just be a little bit more honest with it because
He's a free agent, isn't he? And
No,
I
but
don't think that's going to be renewed.
No, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is the fact that he's probably just going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season, probably the September international break. We're now past the October international break, and our second striker isn't available. Why? It's ridiculous. What is going on? Be honest with us a little bit more and say, no, this is what it is. We're not putting either a time scale on it, or we're not going to leak it to the press and say probably going to be back in September, probably going to be back in October. I understand that Callum Wilson is one of the most injury-prone strikers out there, but if you tell us that he's out till December, we can kind of go, do you know what? Yes, we're annoyed by it, but at least we can accept it.
Yeah,
And I think also when he does come back, it's how do you manage it? Because, say for example, the 2 Chelsea games, you can only really play one, can't you?
Yeah, but it's one, like, with the greatest respect, he's a professional footballer I'm sure he can play more than one game a week.
He's a good footballer, let's not criticise that. When he plays, he scores 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And when him and Isaac had that competition, the back end, when we had got the Champions League, that was the best of Callum Wilson, but we've got him back into the England side.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes Isaac, if he looks and thinks, I'm not going to be subbed off today, I'm not just blaming Isaac, but when you know mentally that you've got Callum Wilson there, shit, if I didn't perform today, I might be subbed off.
Yeah.
And it comes down to Joe's point, the quality behind. He's got Willa Sula, so Isaa's thinking, I'm not going to be taking off for Willa Sula.
But why did Newcastle not buy players to make that quality less?
There's the goal question, Johnny.
Big full circle.
Transfer window, can't we?
Yeah, big full circle. This is your updated Premier League table. Newcastle are 8th in the Premier League, but it is getting closer and closer. Spurs were 6 points behind Newcastle. They're now above Newcastle. They won today. Manchester United beat Brentford. Villa beat Fulham as well. So some big results, Joe. Newcastle on 12 points after 8 games. I think they had 10 points after 4. So it's now 2 points from the last 4 games, I think, off the top of my head. Is that good enough considering you've got Chelsea away, don't have a very good record at Stamford Bridge. I think we've only won once in the Premier League. Arsenal at home, very difficult outfit. Forest away, have started brilliantly.
To give you the worst answer anyone asking questions once, no, it's not enough. To break it down a bit more though, it's more the point of like, one thing a lot of fans were keeping them in the heads, and I'm sure Eddie Howe would have been using it, is this is the best start we've had to a Premier League in so many years. Yes, excellent, but what do you do when that drops off completely, which it has now? Like you've just pointed out there, 10 points after 4 games and now 12 points. It should be a lot.
Playing well, though.
And I know, and this is one thing again where it's like there's something missing. There's a certain savoir faire missing in our team right now. Where is there a bit of backroom drama? Is there something like Michael was saying before? Is it a multitude of points coming together? I believe so. We should be doing better. It's not a great sign of a season if we're wanting to go and claim European football. If right now we're sitting on 12 points at the start of the season, yes, it's hard with international breaks. I'm sure every single person is sick that we've got 2 international breaks already.
There's another one coming up as well, isn't there?
3 weeks.
3. Like this is it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be happening this much, and it breaks the momentum of many teams. Makes it hard for teams like ourselves to get back into the flow of things, to get back into that winning stride. It's worrying if we're chasing things like Europe and if we're chasing things like the Carabao Cups and stuff like that.
And just a point on that. Now Brighton will say the same thing, but managers have only got like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Because literally, did Miggy get back till like Friday?
But Fabian Hertz had 2 or 3 days.
I know, yeah, that's what I've just said there,
Yeah.
but it's which side of the fence is it on, isn't
Big
it?
question for you, Lee.
Yes, I'm looking forward to watching the women. Probably going to be a lot more happier watching the lessons.
No.
At least the score goals.
Just 12 points from 8 games out of all the performances. Actually about right?
Yes.
Too much? Too less? What do you think?
I think it is about right because we've picked up points where we've been awful the best performance is probably City. But having said that, though, the last 3 games we've dominated all of the ball. Wimbledon in the cup should have scored a lot more. Everton away,
2 points dropped at Everton
massively, and we've had a lot of the ball. The stats I haven't seen it, but I bet I'm guessing at
20-odd shots apparently.
70-odd% we cannot score. So it's kind of changed. Whereas we didn't have none of the ball, winning, and now we can't get a final goal or 1 or 2. And as I say, you'll always concede, no matter where you are in the league. Even Man City do. If you don't score, you don't win games.
Just fine.
And just pointing on that as well, is that, yes, I'm having to go at Eddie Howe, but sometimes you've got to be all right and say, look, Eddie Howe got it wrong today. And he did get it wrong. As much as I love him, I might be going away at Stamford Bridge, celebrating a point or a win, different mind, but game by game, you got it wrong today.
Michael, just finally, those 3 Premier League games, I know we've got double dose of Chelsea,
Yeah.
but what is a respectable tally from those 3 games, considering how difficult they are?
Oh, flipping hell. Holy grail of a question, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, we could be rolling after that Arsenal game, 3 defeats on the bounce and out of the cup, couldn't we? So, like, tough fixtures. If you can come, honestly, if you can go to Stamford Bridge and come away with a point, it's a miracle. If you can go to the Emirates not the Emirates, here against Arsenal on the 2nd of November and get a point, I think, again, it's a miracle. Don't get beat.
Yeah. Don't get beat. But yeah, it's double dose of Chelsea. We take them on in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge, and then Chelsea will make the trip to St James's Park in the Cup, in the Carabao Cup on the following Wednesday.
What's more important?
Oh, the Cup game for me.
I would agree.
The Cup game, just because it's the last 16. If you win, you're in a quarter final. You never know what happens after that. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know who you think your man of the match is today. Mine probably would have been Lewis Hall today. I know Dan Burn made a fantastic block near the end, but I think Lewis Hall's probably the best player for me today. But let us know in the comments below. Tomorrow, Lee and Joe will be at Kingston Park, and Dale, of course, will be at Kingston Park for Newcastle women versus Charlton women. Massive game. It's really tight at the top. Birmingham top of the league, but Newcastle only 3 points behind them. So
With a game in hand.
So it is very, very tough after that. Well, close after that. Fantastic win at the Stadium of,
Come along, you're guaranteed goals. I promise you.
12 o'clock kickoff, not normal 2 o'clock kickoff. 12 o'clock kickoff tomorrow lunchtime. But yeah, that's it from St James's Park. You've got to enjoy them tomorrow. And hopefully they'll bring you some 3 points, because the men couldn't do that today.
Of course we will, man.
Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all very soon.